new look to the podcast. Looks good. What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the Pit Podcast with your host, TSUMS. That's right. Changed the name up a little bit. Kind of changed it up to get away from the Midnight Society call sign, just because I'm kind of not sure what I'm going to do with that right now at the moment. I've got the Founder's Pass. It's something that I believe very heavily in, that I'm absolutely excited for. And it's something that I personally think is needed in the game industry. The openness of the game development process, what they're doing, how they're doing it. It's absolutely it's pretty amazing when you sit back and think about it. The process that they're they're doing. I mean, it's unlike anything that I've ever seen, and I just decided I didn't want to use the call sign anymore as my online persona, just simply because I don't know. I just in case I ever did decide to sell the Founder's Pass, that way I'm not like tied to it. So I've decided to swap back to the name I had beforehand, which was TSUMS. I'm not going to rename the podcast again back to That Sums It Up. I'm just going to leave it as the Pit Podcast, where we dive into the pit of the hard-hitting topics. And today, we're going to be talking a pretty hard-hitting topic. I know last week's episode was even titled as French Toast, the greatest breakfast of all time. But today we are going to be talking about kind of a hard-hitting topic that not really that I know of that a lot of people are talking about in the gaming sphere, and that is balancing being a dad and being a husband at the same time when trying to do content creation, streaming, those kinds of things, and some of the just some of the challenges that I never thought I would face becoming a husband, becoming a dad, those kinds of things. So that's kind of what this episode is going to be about. So if that's interesting enough for you to stick around and listen, then definitely stick around and listen, because it's going to be some hard-hitting stuff here. So what's up, everybody? It's your boy TSUMS here, and I have another great product for you guys today. This is Poggers Energy, and these guys are not like all the other typical energy guys out there. These guys have none of the filling stuff in it, all of the great stuff you want. They've got an energy supplement. They've got a sleep supplement for whenever you are done and ready to hit the hay for the evening. One of the reasons why I chose to bring Poggers on as an affiliateship with the channel, with my content, is because they are super affordable, not like some of the other energy companies out there where it's $60, $70 a tub. No, this is pretty much roughly about $39 a tub, so you're looking at almost $1.50 a serving, because you get 30 servings in a tub. I really like this product. It's a great product, very affordable. As you guys know, I'm looking for affordable products to promote on the channel here, so always be on the lookout for Poggers Energy. My code is in the description below on this video. So if you guys got any questions or anything like that, you can always look there. DM me. Use code FVV at checkout for 10% off your next purchase today. So yeah, today we're going to be tackling the hard-hitting question of sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here. Of just some of the things that I never thought that I would have to endure or encounter being a dad, and conversely, like trying to balance um, content creation, streaming, and those kind of things. Just any dream work, all that stuff, with being a husband and a dad. Because I mean, it's one thing that we don't see a lot of guys talking about nowadays is mental health and some of the things that you're just not prepared for in life, that there is no manual on. And being a husband and being a dad is definitely one of those things that there's no manual on it. And for me, it was very, very difficult for a time, trying to learn, what my wife wants and needs, and balancing my wants and needs. And it's something that we still are working on to this day. And I absolutely 100% love my wife. A lot of things in life that has happened that I probably wouldn't have made it through without her. And so she means a lot to me. She does. And and I think that that's something that we take for granted sometimes, the relationships that we form throughout the years. You can kind of get complacent, and you can kind of get in a mindset of, oh well, they just know. And sometimes they don't know, and you don't know that they know, or that they don't know, sorry. And you think things are going good, things are going fine, and it turns out they're not. And that's just being there and establishing an open line of communication and saying, hey, look, like, are we okay? And that's something that's hard. It can be very hard to start that conversation. But I feel like once you do kind of start that conversation, it can start to make things a little easier. Like for me personally, a situation happened that I wasn't proud of, and we're working on it and we're moving past it, and it's something that I'll make sure that will never happen again. And I'm very, very happy with where things are at. I know we're making progress, and I know sometimes we lapse and we forget. But there has been a lot of progress made, and there's a lot of things that are in motion that is going to help make it even better. So don't ever take your significant other for granted. Don't just because things are complacent, just because things are a norm, check in on them, talk with them, say like, hey, like, are we doing okay? Even if you feel like everything's fine, or if everything's not fine, like even just checking in and saying, hey, is everything okay, could mean the difference that day. And so, like, that's just things that you've got to do. And things that I wasn't prepared for was becoming a dad. And when you become a dad and you have kids, in my case, I've got 2 under 3. There's certain things that you used to be able to do that you just can't do anymore. Where we are at right now, we don't have a strong enough support system that we could drop both our kids off and go out and have a dinner together, just the 2 of us. It's been a long time since me and my wife have gone out to dinner, just the 2 of us. And that can kind of weigh on you, because it's stuff that you want to do but you can't. And of course, financial times right now, I mean, inflation and all that stuff, it's hard on everybody. That's the thing that we don't talk about enough as men, is the stresses that we put ourselves through of being the providers of the household, of being the ones to you know, make the bread, as they say. You know, the stress of, you know, do we have enough to eat this week? Do we have enough for the rent? Do we have enough for this? You know, it's harder whenever these economic times are the way that they are. And that sucks. You know, because you just want to be the best you can possibly be for your kids and for your spouse. And it gets difficult because, you know, the money you do have, you spend it all on bills and groceries. So you can't go out and do anything fun. And when you can't go out and do anything fun, you don't have the money to. You know, and it can weigh on people. It really can. And I think the best thing that people can do is find outlets. You know, for me, it's gaming. It's content creation. It's a good outlet for me to relieve stress. You know, and I know for some people it's just like, oh, well, you're just playing video games. Like, no, like when you can play video games and you can escape into these worlds for, even if it's just 45 minutes to an hour a night, like you decompress, you escape to another world, another galaxy, another universe, another, you know, whatever, and you can lose yourself, and it's fun. You know, it's a great escapism. And for me personally, that's what it is, you know. But that's not to say that the highlight of my day is whenever I get off work, you know, working 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday, busting my butt, doing outside work. You know, one of the best highlights of my day is walking in and my kids yelling, "Daddy." You know, like that, it melts your heart. It makes it all worth it. You know, and there's a lot of things that I was not prepared for to become a dad. You know, diaper changes was one of them. Blowouts was definitely something that I was not prepared for. And what I mean by a blowout, for those that are not dads, is whenever a child has exploded their poo-poo in their diaper to where it has fallen out of the diaper. And thankfully we learned pretty quickly how to strap the diaper down good enough to try and prevent those. So that was definitely one thing that I was not prepared for. I mean, there's you know, so many things that you're not prepared for. You're not prepared that at age 2 you're sitting there on the couch and you're getting, you know, your head beat in because they want a cookie or they want some juice or just whatever it is they want, that they're just pounding it in. You know, one of the biggest things that my oldest son does is I'll be sitting there making dinner and I'll just get started making dinner, and he will, the entire time, "Daddy, I'm hungry. Daddy, I'm hungry." Like, dude, I'm making dinner. Like, it takes time. We do this every night, and it's, "I'm hungry." Just every night. You're not prepared for that. You're not prepared to be mentally and physically abused by toddlers when you think of having a baby. You just don't think of that at all. And but I wouldn't trade it for the world. I really wouldn't. I love my kids. You know, my oldest son, we have a really good relationship. My youngest son, he's about 5 months now, and with him, it's been a little different experience from my first son to my second son. My first son, we did formula, and I was able to help out with, you know, a lot of the feedings and stuff like that. Second son is entirely breastfed. We give him 1 bottle a night. That's the only time I help feed, is 1 bottle a night right before bed. And for him, it felt like a struggle to get a bond and a connection, because I wasn't able to help out with, you know, about when I'm home, 50% of the feeds, you know, alternate. And it just, by the time, it felt hard because I would get off work and I would spend time with my oldest son, give him the time he needs, make dinner, and then by the time I got a chance to sit down and do anything, it's like 9 o'clock at night, and then it's time to give him a bottle. So we were only getting this short window to have any kind of like relationship bond stuff. And then here recently, and I think it's due to the holidays and me being home a little bit more, a little flip was switched, and now there's times where he's wanted me. So hopefully he'll still say Dada first. That's always the goal, is to get them to say Dada first. So what's up, ladies and gentlemen? I've got another great product for you guys today. Do you ever get snacky whenever you're gaming, whenever you're streaming, or anything like that? You always need a little pick-me-up, little candy. Well, I got just the place for you. It's called TrumanFactory.com. These guys have some great candy products. They've got gummy worms, chocolate bars, anything you could ask for at a really great affordable price. And the best part is you can use my coupon code FVV15 today to get 15% off your purchase on the store. Use that code, get some of these great candies, and we'll be getting some soon and be doing a unboxing and tasting on the podcast, the Pet Podcast here. So I appreciate you guys. Check out this product, and you guys are going to love it. Promise you. I want to talk about some of the other things that I wasn't prepared for, as a dad. And, one of the biggest things is that initial reaction stuff at the hospital, like becoming a dad. With my first son, it was pretty lengthy. We were there for a while. We had an induction. My wife had an induction. I just sat there first and foremost. If the nurse tells you to sleep, don't do it. Trust me. Okay? A nurse is going to tell you, Dad, you need to get all the sleep you can get, because once Mama has this baby, you're going to need to be able to be hands-on and do as much as you can, because she's going to be in and out of it. And let me tell you, do not listen to that advice. If your wife is awake, you stay awake. Or if your wife, your significant other, girlfriend, whatever situation may be, your baby mama, if they're awake, you be awake. Because if not, you will never hear the end of it. In a good way. It's a fun little story now. In the moment, she was really mad. But, just don't listen to that advice. As someone who lived through it, don't listen to that advice. But it was very, very lengthy. We went in about 9 o'clock at night, 7 to 9. I can't remember the times, iffy. And we didn't even we got there 7 or 9 o'clock at night, and somewhere in between there. It was getting dark, and we get there. This is right at the height of COVID, so we had to do COVID tests, make sure we weren't positive and all that stuff. Both come back negative, so we can both stay, no masks, so we're good on that. And couldn't have anybody else, just me, wife, so we couldn't have anybody else there. And which was kind of a sad experience in that regard for grandparents, that they couldn't experience that or be there like some grandparents do. And she's induced, and then we go all through the morning. She's getting these tabs and stuff to help move things along, and it wasn't until late the next night we finally had my son, and he had to be forcibly removed with forceps. And so we were tired already because it was later at night. We'd gone all day waiting. And then, of course, his bilirubin comes back. He's slightly elevated. He was a little bit over the recommended amount to release. So, bilirubin's a little high, which is for jaundice, for those that don't know. And so we had to put him under the lights, which was just absolutely heartbreaking, because they put this like little mask thing on him, and he just hated it, kept pulling it off, and I'd have to keep getting up, putting the little mask thing over his eyes, just kept pulling them off, putting it over his eyes, pulling them off. It was an all-night thing, and it was super, super sad. Finally, I think we were there like one extra day than we thought we were going to be, one or two, and then we were able to go home, which that was the most cautious drive of my life. It was an hour and 45-minute drive from the hospital where we delivered to our home, because of Indian healthcare. And so, hour and 45-minute drive to the house, and it was the most cautious hour and 45-minute drive I've ever had in my life. But it was really long, really lengthy, and just a lot of bumps, like that first, like trying to be gentle, changing a newborn's diaper, and the before I continue, I do need to say this. This was something that I was not prepared for, and I need you to look me in my eyes on this. If you are not a dad, or you're becoming a dad, this is something you need to know before you become a dad. Is when you have a newborn, some of the things that they look for before you're discharged, and some of the things you have to do within your first couple weeks of being home, is you have to check and make sure that they're using the restroom, peeing, and they're pooping. The pee I can handle, but newborn poops, and I need you to look at me in my eyes when I tell you this. Listen closely if you're listening in audio form. The poo that a newborn makes is like a thick, sticky, black tar substance that looks just like absolute sludge. Thick venom. The sludge, like the venom sludge. And it's coming out of these tiny little bodies, and it is the worst smelling thing on the planet. No one prepares you for that. No one tells you about that. No one prepares you for it, because everybody forgets about it, because it's like so short. Once they either start getting the formula in them, or they start getting the breast milk in them, then the poop kind of mellows out. And that was another thing. Like we'll get into another thing on baby poops here in a second, but that is the worst thing on the planet, is those first few days, first weeks poops, where it's like this just black tar nastiness. So that was one thing I was definitely not prepared for, was that. Fast forward almost 2 years exactly later, we have our second son. And I mean, when I tell you, it was in and out. We weren't even in the hospital 2 days. We were there the mandatory 24 hours, and then we left. When we went in the evening, had him that morning, left the very next morning. So like we weren't even there like 2 full days. So that was super nice, super quick. A little bit different of an experience that time, because 2 years removed from the height of COVID, able to have my mother-in-law there, which was a really nice experience, really nice to have them there along with us as well. My in-laws, because they were able to go get us real food if we wanted it, and Starbucks runs, which was clutch. But this time was a little bit different. There was nothing really traumatic the first time around. There was a lot of chaos running around, because he did have to be pulled out with forceps, and the umbilical cord was wrapped around his neck for my first one. So that was a little bit of running around, making sure everything was okay, getting stuff done, cleaning them up, that kind of stuff. So second son, he's like, boom, he's like out. He's like, I'm ready. And getting my wife all stitched up and stuff like that from having a baby. And we're sitting there, and my wife's holding him. Oh, he's so cute, so cute. Me and my mother-in-law are looking at each other, and we're just like, something ain't right. It's taking too long. And at one point, the doctor moves, the nurse moves, and you just have this just big old pad just filled with blood. But my wife lost a lot of blood in the experience, and it was a really scary moment for me, because here I am holding the baby. My wife is like passing out in the bathroom. Got nurses all in there trying to make sure she's okay, and then I've got like these two nurses walking in, and they're like, yeah, we're not nurses, we're the on-call pediatricians, and we're here to check out your baby, make sure everything's okay. And I'm like, oh, yeah, blah, 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 blah. So with them getting the baby all checked out, and getting everything checked out good, and he's fine and all that, and nothing traumatic for him, and I'm like, okay, cool. So to make a long story short, everything went great. Wife is okay, obviously, now. We went home really quick, and to kind of bring it back to the poops thing, I did not anticipate that breastfed babies poop like once a week. Because with my other son, we were changing poopy diapers every day. With my second son, it's like, dude, when was the last time he pooped? Because it'll be a minute. And then, like, when he does now, because he's taking these, like, supplements. So when he does, it's like, eesh, it's a lot. Like today, we almost had a blowout today. But thankfully, I caught it before any poop got out, before we had any escapers, any floaters. So, hey everybody, how are you guys doing today? It's your boy TSUMS, and I'm here with a great product. We're looking at PowerA gaming accessories. I love PowerA gaming accessories. I have one of their controllers right here. This is a PowerA controller. As you can see, it's an Xbox controller, and it's got two mappable back buttons for triggers. These are really affordable, really great game mappable controllers that you can get if you're on a budget like me. So be sure to check them out, and make sure that you guys use coupon code TSUMS at checkout when you go to PowerA.com. That way you can feel the power today. So, yeah, there's just a lot of things that you're not prepared for as a dad. There's things that, you never thought you'd be dealing with. You never thought that you'd be worrying about if a kid pooped or not. You never thought you'd be worrying if, when they fall and bust their mouth, or, stuff like that. Like, there's a lot of things that happen, and you can't be prepared for, like, thankfully neither one of my kids, I mean, the one son, he's 5 months old, so he's fragile, but thankfully my oldest son, is as crazy as he is, has not broken any bones, knocking on wood, and we haven't had any ER trips yet, so, again, knocking on wood. But as I sit here today, and I reminisce about things, and I think about things, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I love my kids with absolute all my heart, and there's nothing that I wouldn't do for them. Because that's the goal of all this, is to, try to provide them with the best life I possibly can. A better life than what I got growing up. And of course right now feels difficult, it feels hard, because the economic times we're in. And it's stressful. It is, man. Like, if it wasn't for certain family members and certain assistances programs out there that help out people, it'd be really, really tough to even make it. So and thankfully situational things are coming about soon that's gonna help us retool and reset, and it'd be good for us. We're gonna be moving from a very, I would say, kind of more white collarish town, a very uppity, way more expensive to live in, to a more traditional blue collar town. Cost of living is about half of what we pay now, and I'm excited for it, man. Like, I love the town we're moving to. It's super nice, super fun, super cool place to be, and I think it'll be a great place to raise the boys. And there's all sorts of things that goes with the territory. Diaper changes, the late nights. Like right now, my son is on a kick where he's waking up like super early, and I typically, because I get up early and my wife is up late with the baby, breastfeeding, I try to get him up and take care of him and be with him for about an hour or so until they wake up or so, so she can get that extra little bit of sleep on the weekends and stuff like that. So, but yeah, it's just a lot of like compromising stuff when it comes to being a husband with kids. You gotta compromise. You gotta try to make it as 50-50 as possible. Like, when I get off work, I try to do as much as I possibly can. The baths, changing the diapers, cooking dinner, those kinds of things, just helping out as much as I can, because they're my kids too, and I want them to have a good, fun, nice bond with me as well. And I think I do a pretty good job. I'm not going to toot my own horn here or anything like that, but I think I do a pretty good job considering, all things. So, but I hope this episode was really geared at trying to, like, let other gamer dads out there know that, like, hey, you're not alone. I feel what you go through, and the balancing. Like, even if you can get 1 to 2 nights of playing a week, like, you're doing good. Like, as long as your kids are happy, your family's happy, that's where you find that balance, because at the end of the day, like I said, for me, the greatest part of my day is when I get home and I see the smiling faces, and it makes it all worth it. Like, no matter how crappy my day was at work, coming home to that, it just makes it all worth it. So, but I think that about wraps this episode, honestly. We did some ad reads. We got those in now. Kind of growing and expanding. We got 3 companies that are kind of affiliated with that we are working on, maybe getting some commission stuff off of, maybe. Not to mention Anchor. That's how we do our podcast. Anchor is a great, outside of the ad read, Anchor is a great podcasting tool. If you're looking to get into podcasting, Anchor is a great way to start. It's super, super easy. So super easy. Like me, I record video-wise the whole podcast in OBS. Finish that out. And then once that's done, I just upload it through to Anchor, and then it automatically distributes it wherever I need it to. The only place it doesn't distribute it to is YouTube. So I just do another upload on that. But essentially, yeah, like it's super, super easy to do a podcast through Anchor, and I highly recommend it. So, but I appreciate you guys for listening to this episode. I will catch you guys next week with a new episode. I think we're going to be breaking down Star Wars, my love for Star Wars, ranking the movies, those kinds of things. So again, I appreciate you guys watching, and remember to keep on gaming on, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.